The Leo new moon, Sabian symbol, 2 to 3 degrees, therefore 3 degrees. A woman having her hair bobbed. Understand? Refusal to conform to inappropriate rules. Some of society's constraints are life-denying and are to be resisted by those who claim freedom of expression, doing our own thing in our own way. And I clarify and read, there are good and necessary reasons why society imposes limitations on individual self-expression. It has to do so in order to protect itself from the fiery dangers of passion. Yet, that must not stop us from finding a harmless way to express our nature, our desires, and our sense of style, even if we become marginalized by doing so. What I'm going to explain here, or do my best to explain and remind everyone about, including myself, is that this new moon indicates a need to make adjustments, not out of conformity, but adjustments that are informed by self-awareness that is available to us through the Mercury retrograde, that is available to us now after Juno has gone retrograde in Scorpio and now direct motion out of Scorpio, through Saturn retrograde and Uranus, as well as Neptune. There's much of ourself that we now have an initiation of insight into as a new moon phase unfolds. We are accommodated by retrogrades at key positions to give us the clarity that we need to know responsibly, according to the accountability that we have recommitted to, according to the moral commitment that we have recommitted to make sure that our expression is subject to that commitment, that it is consistent with that commitment. Pluto, opposing this new moon, is demanding it for the service of humanity, the kingdom of heaven, the reason why you came here. What I've come to realize with the Leo new moon in opposition to Pluto is that what's being highlighted here is Scorpio triplicity. Scorpio triplicity. That is the water trine. It's an initiation of Jupiter starting the second decan of Cancer, of Vesta, the second decan of Scorpio, the North Node, the second decan of Pisces. At the same time that we have this new moon, we also are at the beginning of a Mercury retrograde in Leo as well, which incorporates Virgo, Gemini, 3rd house, 6th house. This includes our ability to convert dualities, the conflicts in dualities, the perception of dualities, the yin and the yang, and our ability to navigate through the yin and the yang, seeing the wholeness, the unity, wisdom or love. Wisdom or love. Gemini, understand. Through Virgo, we have the South Node, number 9 Hermit card process that's in full effect. Mars transiting the South Node Virgo. As Mars is already taken, that Adderall running through our checklists, our 6th house, seeing where there is waste, where we should establish a little frugality, where we can increase efficiency, where we lacking a practical approach, refinement, the details that makes the difference between acceptable and greatness, getting sober out of our addictions and attachments to Venus impulses. So what does this do? This Mercury retrograde. What is it doing? How is it assisting a new moon at Leo? The ultimate goal of Virgo is refinement and efficiency. And that is in order to accommodate expression. Expression. Authentic expression. Expression that is seated in the 5th house, the heart, the sun, the expression of the inner child, the heart soul urge expression. Cleaning up how it is packaged, how it is produced, how we market this expression as a service, making it acceptable as a service. Through Gemini, we're learning to harmonize our communication, but even greater than that, what assists communication is how we imply and how we infer. What do you see? What did you notice? Are we able to make conclusions that finalizes at wisdom? Conclusions that finalizes at love? Have we learned yet to look through the lens of wisdom or love? It's a practice, it's a commitment, but ultimately, both of these practices through Mercury is going to perfect our expression of our soul, of our inner child, of the heart soul urge value, the numerical value of the day that you were born. We're getting support to be able to deliver effectively and sincerely. It's part of the status that we're claiming, and it's part of the jurisdiction that we're learning how to hold authority in. As I'm mentioning the water trine, Pluto is in opposition to this new moon phase. We will see the intention or realize the fruition of this intention at Aquarius season. There will be much that becomes obvious. However, the marking signature of what this new moon phase is about, it's in the water. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. It's in the water. I'm going to explain these aspects separately. But first, I want to clarify how there's a unity in what's being expressed with Leo new moon. We know that Leo, we're considering the sun. The moon, a new phase, it does include both Cancer and the North and South Node transit. So for that reason, it brings Mars into this initiation at the second decan of all water signs. On top of that, Cancer, second decan, where Jupiter is now entering at this water trine, is ruled by Mars. Mars is at Virgo, which is hosting the South Node transit, as I just explained. And a new moon phase, it's the uphill. As Mars is progressing through Virgo, it's marking a closure that sets things straight. The moon rules the North and the South Node. Included in the North and South Node by this new moon is Mars through Virgo. What unites Mars, Virgo, and the moon, which includes the North and South Node, is the Mercury retrograde. So it makes the theme consistent. It works together. It works together. Understand? And Jupiter entering the second decan of Cancer, as I mentioned, this is a Mars territory. Also included with Mars is Scorpio. Mars is one of the lords of Scorpio, including Pluto. At the second decan of Scorpio, where Vesta is now making its beginning into the second decan of Scorpio, this portion is ruled by the sun. It's ruled by the sun. So we have a consistent expression with the sun and Pluto having a likeness with Scorpio's second decan ruled by the sun. And with Vesta being here, Vesta is bringing in a willingness to sacrifice, to surrender, to practice temperance, minimalism, delay, fasting, whatever it takes to transmute sexual energy into productive creativity of self-expression at the depth of the self through Scorpio, not the surface, the depth of the self. Now, what makes Vesta unique at this position is that the sun and Pluto in opposition through this new moon, it presents a challenge that Vesta is the solution for. That challenge is realizing I found my expression through Leo. However, what's in opposition to that is the community that I know I have to serve, interact with, negotiate with, communicate with. And Pluto is demanding that I make some transformations, that I face some hard truths, that I accept some points of disillusionment concerning myself and how I have been relating with the community, with the people. Aquarius. There's some hard truths to accept about my service, and whether or not it truly is acceptable. To remind you, you remember Cain killed Abel. One offering was acceptable and one was not. This comes back to the sixth house. If our offering is not acceptable, we refine that offering through the sixth house, Virgo, refinement. So the crisis is being resolved from many angles, especially Vesta and Virgo Mars. Virgo Mars is bringing attention to details that perfects our recipe, our formula, our ritual, creating higher probability of acceptance of our product, of our service, of our sacrifice, of our character, knowing that the sixth house builds the character. Scorpio is the algorithm that stands between the crisis of a demand to change between the sun or new moon Leo and Pluto, Aquarius Pluto. I have to adjust my personality. I have to adjust my delivery. I have to adjust my communication to fit, to accommodate, to serve my community without selling my soul, Vesta, without betraying my authenticity, without silencing myself or packing away shadows. Vesta in Scorpio knows how to accomplish that. Virgo Mars knows how to adjust the lifestyle to accommodate that outcome. But deep within, a transformation has to take place at the core, the sun, the soul, the inner child. Deep within, Mercury is clarifying where all these places are at, where this needs to take place. What better time than now, at the beginning of the Mercury retrograde, where the crisis first manifests, clarifying exactly what we need to work on. And through Scorpio, Vesta has the spirit of algorithm that specifically transmutes sexual vitality, just as Virgo does the same. Vesta is hosted by the sexual vitality of Virgo and Scorpio. Virgo going the high ground, Scorpio going the low ground, but ultimately to the same aim. Vesta is a safety switch for this. Vesta makes sure that sexual energy and vitality is not wasted, is not spoiled, but concentrated into productivity, into sincere devotion, into cause and purpose. especially through sacrifice. Understand? So that is the portion that helps us to accept, surrender to the moment of disillusionment. There's something about myself at the deep core level that although it is authentic, although it is true of me, I have to modify, I have to adjust, I have to polish if it's going to be an acceptable service to the people. And the people for you, it can have different contexts. However, Aquarius is a service. It is indeed a service. Know that. Pluto was demanding that change, and we look behind what that change looks like at Scorpio. Juno is in direct motion as all of this is taking place. We know that Juno went into the wilderness, recovering for us of our authority and moral commitment. Authority through Saturn themes, moral commitment through Cancer themes. So we're walking out of that second decan of Scorpio with that consciousness. Vesta is preserving that consciousness so that it does not fall to impulsiveness or spoil. Understand? There's a lot of good that's going to follow behind our focus and commitment with these changes that we are making, that's being now informed by the Mercury retrograde as well as Saturn retrograde, reminding us of where we have accountability, where we have authority to keep mindful of. Moving us back through lessons of karma and where we learn to show obedience in our life. Becoming trustworthy with a mission. Stepping into the character that gains access, success, and ultimately the destiny, as character is certainly destiny. So many things are happening at the same time. As far as the North Node, we know that this carries a number 7 vibration, including Neptune, Jupiter, and the second decan of Pisces is ruled by the moon. Understand? With the second decan of Pisces being ruled by the moon, it also happens to be the North Node. And a new moon phase, Leo, it's incorporating the Christ impulse. Christ impulse specifically because karma has already moved through Pisces. And when karma has already moved through Pisces, it's receptive, conditioned, sanitized for the Christ impulse to be realized in the self. What is the Christ impulse? It is the wisdom of God reflected within. Emmanuel. Understand? This is a downloading of that Christ impulse. As I will explain in this discourse, it manifests 9 of Cups fulfillment. Fulfillment that is realized through faith, through gratitude. So the second decan of every one of our water signs, there's blessings in store if we are willing to find the humility to change, to adjust into a service-oriented servant for the kingdom of heaven, not for ourselves, for the kingdom of heaven. Collectively, how can I be used by my community? How can I serve my community with what I am naturally inclined to do and be? Understand, this is ultimately what we are here for, and there's a pouring in that's going to come as a result of that. A pouring in. Before we get into this discourse with the water train, Trine, tomato, Trine, I want you to really consider that this new moon Leo is not an overnight thing. It's a point where we see that there's an expression that's so natural to us, so meaningful to us, and it may have been a very long time before we felt connected to the most authentic expression deep within the soul. But it's not meant to be a thing of vanity. It's meant for service. So we should be humble at the idea that we may find ourselves unpolished, unkept, rusty, you name it. But with Mars in Virgo, the matter is already resolved. It's just a matter of time. There are changes that has to be made, transformations, hard truths to accept and swallow, moments of disillusionment where we come to the end of our power to do anything about who we are, where we are, and surrender is the only next step. Surrender and acceptance. That's where the transformation takes place. Scorpio reminds us that in life we are always going to come to a point of powerlessness. And that's where we surrender. Not become arrogant and egotistical. There's always going to be things about ourselves, delusions, that when confronted with reality and truth, it's not very flattering. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean failure. It's opportunity. It's opportunity to change, not cling and attach to what we prefer to be the truth or to be the case. Not becoming someone who expects the world to change for them rather than them to adjust and change to accommodate and serve the world that they were sent to serve in. We're learning to become adults in a sense. I don't mean that in an insulting way, but for, I would say, all of us, there's somewhere in our life where we have an arrested development and we refuse to be an adult. Passing the blame, being the victim, It's everybody else's fault. They're out to get me. But that Scorpio, it helps us to find consistency with that serenity prayer. Father God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change. Grant us the courage to change the things that we can. Grant us the wisdom to know the difference. You are meant to shine at that Leo expression. You are meant to influence. You are meant to be a sign of encouragement and strength. You are meant to hold charisma that is contagious. You are meant to have much wealth and show generosity with that wealth at that Leo placement. And wealth does not mean you have a bunch of money. It means you have a treasure from your character and wisdom. You have a treasure. It's where you assume responsibility and care for other people. It's where you take pride in your advantage over others so that you can care for others from that advantage. Understand? Realizing this, that Aquarius point, this is where we have to learn to let go of self-importance. Where our titles, our status, any point of competition and comparison, we have to get rid of it. It's about what we came together to do, to accomplish, to serve. What is the objective? What are we here to do? It's where everyone has an equal portion. Some of us use it, some of us don't. Some of us tap into it and align with it, some of us don't. But we were sent here with equal portions. Everyone's opinion, everyone's view, everyone's wisdom, everyone's service, every person has an equal contribution that they're in position to give, whether they choose to or not. That's where we have to get out of our way. It's where we have to survive our own ego at that Aquarius placement. It's where it's not about me. It's about what we're here to do. It's a detached disposition. You're not attached to how people will respond or react. You're not attached to your ideas, your opinions, your way. You're connected. Connected in a way that prepares you to serve. Connected by the purpose. Connected by the cause. Connected by the mission. Connected by the value at hand. Pluto is asking us to connect by dismantling the obstacles between you and others. When it all comes together, it looks like Cancer. Understand? Cancer, Jupiter transit. The matriarchal fulfillment. Understand? So, please, I'd like you all to share, what does your Leo placement look like, in this new moon? What are you looking forward to learning, experiencing, changing possibly? As far as the water train or Trine, what are you looking forward to concerning your water placements? What do you realize based on what I'm reminding you of? Share. We love to hear your opinions, perspective, point of views, your input, all of it is valuable. So let's get into the discourse concerning the Scorpio triplicity, which is being initiated by this Leo new moon. Let's walk it down and look into it. So what I want us to bring a focus to is opportunity, favor, blessings, good fortune that's set to manifest for us all, of course, in its own unique way in our reality. This is based on a trine of matriarchal fulfillment, triplicity concerning Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. This includes, of course, 4th house, 8th house, and 12th house. This manifests the numerological expression number 6. This is 6. This numerological expression 6 is where we demonstrate selflessness, compassion, empathy, trustworthiness. Is where we become stewards of the hearts, the vulnerabilities, the needs of each other. We are showing stewardship to the brotherhood, the sisterhood that we are a part of. The 6th vibration, as a heart soul expression and as a life path, it requires competence around boundaries and personal authority. The 6th heart soul urge or life path person, they struggle all their life to master saying no. There's a great deal of guilt on the head and the heart of the 6th vibration person. And that is because their compassion, their care, their sensitivity, it is as vast as the oceans, unlimited. The one with number 6 energy, there's an emotional karma that comes with their destiny. The waters is where we have emotion to process, to deal with, to learn from, to move through. Emotions, it's nothing simple. This is where our emotional intelligence has to accommodate us. Self-awareness has to accommodate us. And it's where we have to keep in sight accountability and the earth trine expressions of Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. They work in pairs. Water subjects are never without the lesson of forgiveness and salvation. Forgiveness and salvation is an action of love. It's an action of understanding. It's an action of compassion. We could make the mistake of thinking that forgiveness is for the other person, but ultimately forgiveness is really to set yourself free, to initiate your own healing. Without forgiveness, we remain attached to what we want to have control or power over as an outcome or result, and it is futile. Attachment has inevitable sufferings that must come with it. Gemini, for that reason, accommodates these lessons. Detachment, ethereal, intellectual observation of circumstances, weighing of the heart and the head, and without getting attached, we're able to comprehend what was meant as a lesson, as an awareness, as a teacher, in the emotional loads that we process. The waters is where we learn maturity. In developing that emotional intelligence. The fourth house is that reality with the self and the inner child. The eighth house, the power struggles that we have with others, the struggles that we have to practice acceptance, surrender, resilience, moments of disillusionment, where we have to accept that we're at the limitation of our power. What are we to do now? Surrender, acceptance. Seeing the correlation between surrender and acceptance and the transformation of the self, the transcendence of the self, the transmutation of the self, the opportunity of resurrecting the self, the empowerment of the self. In opposition to this new moon in Leo is Pluto in Aquarius at 2 degrees, which is expressed at the Sabian symbol, 2 to 3 degrees. Energy moves forward and up. We have Aquarius 3, okay? That's at the mark of 2 to 3 degrees. Aquarius 3. This Sabian symbol, a deserter from the Navy. Understand, a deserter from the Navy. Refusal to accept the unacceptable. Certain of society's constraints and requirements are simply inappropriate for us, and we cannot and must not comply. Refusing to comply with inappropriate authority. Whatever can endure on the inner planes withstands all that comes. This ability to face life head on and meet all things without buckling under is earned, not gifted. It inevitably requires that the individual must go against society and its norms and rules in order to find their own unique true path. This clarifies that Pluto's intention is not for you to conform. It's meant for you to become aware of yourself and to search yourself for where there is harm, oppression, injustice, inappropriate authority, offenses, toxicity, abuse, tyranny. We have to search ourselves for all of these expressions within the self. It's about changing according to self-awareness, not conformity, not compliance with the status quo. That's not the message. So this is clarifying that we're stepping out of that order that was socially engineered for us to stand in. We're going against the social engineering, the social conditioning, any type of authority that is inappropriate over us. We now must nip it in the bud with wisdom, with wisdom, with wisdom. Understand? So, included in this expression with Pluto is also a reversal of context, in which it is time now. It is now time to rebel. It is now time to come out of conformity. This could indicate a peacock who's walking around with authority, status, power, that's not necessarily in a sincere place. Someone could be holding illusions or untruths around you or over you in your identity. You could feel that the circumstances or persons could present a direct opposition, confrontation, or challenge to your sense of personal empowerment, personal authority, or the claim of your identity, status, and authority. So you can clarify who or what this is by investigating your Aquarius house placement and the aspects that are there. It's time now to step outside of those limitations. It's time now to put everyone and everything on notice. That per se notice, claiming of the status, claiming of the identity, standing in the jurisdiction. And let me stress, let me emphasize, doing so in a responsible manner, in a civilized manner, with wisdom. Not burning bridges, not being reckless, not being uncivilized, not being shameless. Understand? At Pisces, we learn a great deal concerning our own subconscious thoughts. The part of us and our emotions that we are completely unaware of, that harbors fears, that harbors guilt, harboring shame. It's from whence our iniquities come from. Generational curses. The subconscious activity that takes command of our impulses, our intentions, our behaviors, and we find them plaguing us at the sixth house, Virgo, where we consented to their presence with us, where we gave it form to subject us. And the 12th house is where we have to learn to name, to describe, to acknowledge what's hidden in the 12th house. It's completely spiritual. The source of our addictions. It's where greed and gluttony violence and hatred, self-undoings, lust, anger and wrath, fear and shame and guilt. This is where it begins, in the 12th house. And when we walk around not connected to that 12th house, lacking awareness of that 12th house, something is driving, directing, and commanding us while we don't even know it. So it takes planetary impulses to transit this house, to aspect this house, in order for us to realize it through the 6th house. The things that you do every day, your patterns and your behavior, what you create in your day towards your own undoing, your self-sabotage, self-victimization, self-oppression and abuse, self-betrayal. Saturn has made its way through the 12th house in Pisces, moving karma. And we've had 2 years to face, to name, to address, to acknowledge, and to bring in submission the impulses of the subconscious. Being aware of that 12th house placement and how it was able to cause us undoing. Every person has a 12th house. And the 12th house is a negation of your authority, of your image, of your identity. It is a negation at that 12th house. It is where fear and shame, guilt, lust, greed, hatred, among many other vices, contaminates your expression of that energy in the 12th house, preventing it from illumination. It takes several decades to transform the self-undoing of the 12th house into compassion, empathy, understanding, and ultimately your own unique expression of love that you serve with. The 12th house is where you suffered deeply because of that subconscious activity and generational curses. And ultimately, it brought you to a place of humiliation where you learned humility. And in learning humility, you became the student of spirit, or the Christ impulse at the 12th house. That is where the Christ impulse teaches you the wisdom of God. It is from where you see yourself in others and what you suffered. And compassion and understanding drives your advocacy for every person who suffered what you suffered, because you truly understand. The Cancer Mars retrograde, we were able to finally come to the conclusion that in early childhood, there was much that we continue to project today onto others, that we have the responsibility to take ownership of and accountability. At Scorpio, Juno was retrograde, bringing us through the necessary processes of the wilderness, where we learn to recover our commitment to accountability and moral commitment, which the moral commitment came back to Cancer, where we now have Jupiter expanding our realization of Cancer, the matriarchal principle. So the tables are set in the trine. The tables are set in the triplicity of the waters. Forgiveness has manifested for the self, and now we realize the power of forgiveness that we could afford for others only because of that. We also see salvation. We see salvation in how necessary it was to suffer to manifest our personalization of compassion, our exemplification of understanding and empathy. That is what brings the good in what I'm going to describe of this matriarchal fulfillment. Matriarchal being, this is the water. Form does not rule water. It contains, it guides and directs water. It protects water. But water is formless in its fluid nature. Therefore, it is a matriarchal opportunity that we're looking at. A matriarchal blessing such as what I'm going to describe, it indicates that we're at the reformation of the patriarchal order. The patriarchal order is informed by the matriarchal needs, demands, commands, requests. And with that being said, this is where the pouring in begins at the second decan of Cancer through Jupiter, the second decan of Scorpio through Vesta, the second decan of Pisces through the North Node. Simultaneously, what is happening is a pouring in, a fulfillment. Let me do the due diligence of making sure I remember to mention that we don't want to overlook that the Sun Pluto opposition this opposition is showing you where and even why you attract power struggles where the power dynamics do not appear to be fair, just, or reasonable. And your efforts could seem quite futile. And here is where the point of revelation is that we have to trace this portion back to the Father. This is the portion that we trace back to the Father. It gets projected onto your colleagues, your friends, your wife, your husband, your family, your neighbor, at the office. It gets projected there. But where it came from was with the Father. And you have to go back there to balance that power dynamic out. And I'm telling you now, you better bring forgiveness with you, not wrath, finger pointing, victimhood, anger, resent. No, forgiveness. Forgiveness arrived through a sincere will to understand. Let's do all that we can. Let's do all that we can to heal from the inside, from the core outward. So what we have at Cancer, second decan, Jupiter, and this point is ruled by Mars. We also have the second decan of Pisces with the North Node. This portion is ruled by the Moon. We have the second decan of Scorpio with Vesta. This portion is ruled by the Sun. This initiation takes place as Mercury is retrograde at Leo, which is the algorithm and expression of the Sun, fifth house. It is the inner child's expression. So if we start there with the Sun, where Mercury has an influence to this expression, we consider Vesta, and what this indicates is a pious commitment, a willing to suffer for the results or the outcome on the higher ground, a devotion to the moral commitment that surrounds the inner child's expression through the Sun. That indicates the heart soul urge expression that Vesta is insisting that we channel even our sexual vitality into a promising outcome with our personal expression. That's a serious commitment and focus that's willing to fast and abstain from whatever is necessary to meet the objective of the Sun in Leo. Mercury is clarifying what all of that is to include or indicate. Because this is at the second decan, it's going back over the wilderness points in Scorpio that Juno has taken us through. And Vesta, following behind Juno, is saying that as we come out of this wilderness, I'm willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to not spoil the benefit, the value, the good that went into all that we suffered in the wilderness. I will not spoil what it took. I will not ruin what it took. I will remember it and I will honor it by making sure that it was well worth it, whatever it takes. This second decan is assisting, Vesta is assisting our walk out of the wilderness. And it has to assist to make sure that as we do come out and we have recovered that accountability and moral commitment, that we also remember what is most true to the heart center's expression. No matter what I have to lose, no matter what I have to leave behind, no matter what I have to face, I will express this specific expression of the heart soul urge. It will be done. That is what that is saying, among many things. The Pisces North Node, second Decan, this lunar energy, not only does the moon host the North and South Node transit in and of itself, but it also highlights the merging together of karma that we've moved through, our intuition, and our wisdom. The intuition, the gut instinct, the room that we have cleared in that wisdom of working through that South Node, the karmic capacity that we have cleared and opened up for ourselves, it has us to anticipate an inpouring, a pouring in of what we now have the competence and maturity to handle, of what we now have the wisdom to show good stewardship to. The moon carries our memories. It carries insight. It is the oracle of our pathways. And this moon has influence with both Jupiter and Neptune. Jupiter being at Cancer, its home algorithm, expanding our desire and realization, our reverence for the divine principle of matriarchy, care, security, family, the purest love, as well as Neptune at Aries, which in all things remaining consistent to the identity, the ideal of self, the most natural and authentic ideal of the self. This is what aligns us to be able to receive at the North Node. There's an inpouring of what we feared we cannot be worthy of. The manifestation of the very thing that before, from the 12th house, we feared we were not worthy of. And here it is manifesting. Cancer, Jupiter, second Decan, co-ruled by Mars. This is an assertive effort to advocate for family, the home front, friends, loved ones. It's an assertive effort and intention to secure and protect those who you care for and love, and to protect the spaces where those memories are created and produced. It's a return of national pride in who you are, who your forefathers were. A recollection of your status in the community, and the strength that defends what that means. Now, as for Pisces North Node transiting the second decan of Pisces, this is fulfillment realized. It's the expression of Nine of Cups. 9 is a sign of completion. It also relates to Virgo in itself. And this fulfillment does not include being spoiled or ruined by Venus. It is fulfillment through our maturity, through our acceptance of isolation, thus transforming isolation into solitude, expanding abundance in the spirit, through the spirit. 9 of Cups. This fulfillment realized is part of the maturity, character, accountability that came as a testimony through the karmic transit of Saturn through Pisces. There are things we learned that now puts us in position to be able to handle with competence and responsibility the abundance that has already been prepared for us through the North Node Pisces. Fulfillment is always one half of responsibility and duty. So this indicates being in position, realizing that you have come into position to be able to handle the capacity of responsibilities and duties that would free you from karmic fears, guilt, shame, or debt. Fulfillment realized. Understand, a sense of freedom. The moon showing that we're in position now to afford our self-care. And through Jupiter, that is expanding, and it's through the confidence. Self-care is not about spending money. It's about being mature enough to know how to position yourself, how to behave, how to maneuver, how to plan, how to execute in ways that does not compromise your security, your reputation, your dignity, your integrity. And that is a massive part of fulfillment in your life. It's a freeing up of the subconscious through responsibility and accountability. This pairs with Juno's direct motion out of Scorpio, coming out of the wilderness. Fulfillment realized. Understand? Pisces second decan, this is where you could play the victim role. This is also where you could play the role of the savior. So, self-awareness, leaning into integrity, strength and boundaries for yourself, keeping yourself out of that victimhood mentality, knowing that the psychic energy that you're picking up on from others, it's there to facilitate deeper connections. It's there to facilitate awareness that allows you to know how to show up, how to heal, how to accommodate, how to be present. It's not there to torment you. Understand, this could be self-sacrificial. Again, it brings the sixth vibration collectively, the second decan of all three, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. This is sixth vibration. Know what's in your capacity. Know what is realistic and what is responsible. Be aware of yourself when you're consenting to codependent behaviors, attachments. Know also when you are enabling the manipulation, the weakness, the laziness, the codependencies, the narcissism, and others. Are you an enabler? As for Jupiter entering the second decan of Cancer, this ruled by Mars, Three of Cups is indicated here. And this is a celebrating of family, friendship, and community. That celebration can only take place through the expansion of Jupiter at Cancer. But what's the catalyst for that expansion? Pholus through Capricorn. Because Capricorn Pholus is in transit in opposition to this Cancer Jupiter transit, second decan, what this explains is that through crisis, through loss of control, through being exposed, our loved ones being exposed to crisis or loss of control, the devil card, misfortunes, a fall from grace, things of this nature of the shadow 8, karmic happenings, unforeseen events through Pholus that causes a very deep transformation of the self. It expands our realization of the matriarchal principle in our life, how important it is, how much we need it, and how much we rely on it. And it increases our reverence for it, to really honor and respect the matriarchal principle in our life. Because as Pholus through Capricorn causes chaotic events, it is the matriarchal archetypes who run to our rescue, who show us compassion, who show us care, who defend us and advocate for us, who home in on what we need. And it's in ways that money can't buy. It's in ways that nothing can even explain, because it's of the expression of love. So you and I, all of us, we will continue to have events that reminds us of how important family, relationships, love, compassion, care, advocacy, brotherhood, sisterhood, your ancestral lineage, the roots from whence you come, your culture, all of these things is not something to underestimate, to take for granted, or to dishonor. And our need of it is constantly expanding as something we realize. This is working against what feminism, liberalism, capitalism, and the corporate infrastructure has uprooted from our souls, from our consciousness. It's all being restored as a Capricorn theory comes crashing down. Mars here is adding strength, assertiveness, clarity, It's also bringing a sense of urgency, behind practices of advocacy and care, taking initiative, not dragging, not hesitating, but being swift into action for the matriarchal principle and expression in our life through the moral commitments and conviction that we have in the soul. This is taking place. All of these blessings are things that money can't buy. Let's take note. This is what's coming in. We can't overlook the fact that Mars is currently transiting through Virgo. And traveling through Virgo, Mars takes the Adderall, as I always say. And what that does is it increases the level of efficiency that we're able to initiate. It increases how much awareness we're able to include, how much wellness we're able to include in our Cancer matriarchal service to each other. Because Virgo brings wellness into the situation, well-being into the situation, not just security and advocacy, not just nurturing, but it brings wellness and well-being. Wellness and well-being in ways, again, that money cannot buy. It's considering your health, your vitality, cleanliness, order, organization, efficiency. What is practical? What is practical? And these energies are causing collectives, groups, families, relationship participants together in this energy to manifest the Three of Cups realization. It's bringing it together. Service has to be included in this also. As I mentioned in the beginning of this discourse, that the number 6 energy is heavy as we have this second Decan transit through the water points. We are manifesting 6. Selfless service. Selfless service. Good stewardship. Trustworthiness. Accountability to the matriarchal principle. The number 6 is the matriarch. The number 6 is the queenly matriarch, the demonstrator of matriarchal wisdom and law. Number 6. We are manifesting 6 through this combination. Know that advocacy is going to take place here. Jupiter is going to expand our impulse to advocate, defend the weak. Mercury is also correlated with this Three of Cups, second Decan position, and Cancer. So it could be a lot of arguing, spit flying from the mouth, okay, on behalf of who you love and who you like. At the same time, okay, taking in stride, taking in balance, defending the fort. Gang, gang. I mean, you clicked up off of this. Understand? So, mindfulness. With all of this water energy, we need self-awareness, emotional insight and intelligence, not losing sight of such. You know, sometimes we can enable the worst in people. We could get in the way of somebody learning how to fight their own battles, how to be responsible for the words and actions and behaviors. You're always darting in like Superman or Superwoman to save somebody from their own karma, getting in the way all the time. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing that out there. You know, let's live like we're learning. Understand? Let's live like we are learning. Six of Cups manifesting through Vesta's transit. Second Decan, Scorpio. This is nostalgia. Understand? Also represented by the sun at this placement. Nostalgia. This is a remembering of your roots, from whence you came. I already brought up number 6, which is stewardship to the matriarchal commitment. Family, loved ones, the smile on the children's face, the security of those who you love, the care of your community. 6 of Cups. Because Vesta is transiting through second Decan Scorpio, which is hosted by the sun, it indicates what we express. And Vesta makes this expression a holy expression, a righteous expression, an expression that does not allow any excuse or any distraction to its intention. It overcomes all distractions in manifesting its intention. And nostalgia is here because we are remembering from whence we came. This is a reverencing of the wounds that bore us. Reverence the wounds that bore you is what this is. Remembering what it took and who it took to get where you are. Who helped you, who loved you, who supported you, who cared for you. It's also to remember what went into nurturing you in life, from childhood, your teenage years, your 20s, so on and so forth. Taking count of what contributed to your constant and consistent transformations, transmutations, empowerment, remembering what those things or who those persons were, the environments that produced it as well. This reverence assists Juno's direct transit out of the wilderness. It's a meditation on where the value is at in the divine feminine. Where is their irreplaceable value? Value that cannot be purchased or sold. Value that is timeless. Walk down memory lane, and somehow it recovers expressions of the self that are most authentic to who you really are. Scorpio rules the 8th house, and through the 8th house, this nostalgia bears its head, and it helps you to remember what the expression of love can accomplish, what familiarity can accomplish. The faces that you know, the places that you know, that you feel personally connected to. Reminding you of what you have in you as power and empowerment. What you suffered and what you overcame. Six of Cups also indicates pleasure. Pleasure from deep and intimate connections. Pleasure from intimacy. And those pleasures are when you connect from the depth of the being, from the depth of the soul, where it is not surface, but there's a connection that brings joy that only can manifest if you were there. You had to have been there to know why we are so joyful as we talk about this, think of this, or remember it. Telling stories of the past, seeing objects or pictures, anything of sentimental value that triggers a level of joy that no one can relate to except for the ones who are actually there. All of these things are matters that cannot be purchased. And it's the opposite of where we're coming from, where for decades we've been taught that happiness is in money. It's in your spending capacity. How much material that you can consume, buy, and purchase. This is a restoration of infinite value. A restoration of our connection to true substance and value through the matriarchal principle being revived and restored in the soul. Matriarchy is everything right now. And as I said many months ago, or even years ago, feminism has fallen. Pluto and the moon were conjunct when it went direct, headed into Aquarius. I knew then it was prophesied that women are about to change, and the feminine principle is about to be restored and revived. Feminism has fallen. Everything that I named is the opposite of what feminism achieves for us. It is exactly what feminism destroyed. It's exactly what Lyndon B. Johnson's welfare state destroyed. It is exactly what corporate greed and competition and consumerism, it destroys it. And ultimately what it's destroying is the reverence of the wombs that bore us, the feminine principle of life, the matriarchal law that informs all constitution, the most natural constitution of the natural being, of the natural person. Those rights, those values, principles, and morals that carry inalienable value to it. Understand?